Hey everyone, welcome to episode 13 of Buds and Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I am joined by my co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, we did it. It was a long offseason full of drama. There was some dread. There was a bunch of labor disputes, but we did it, man. Opening day is finally here. We made it.
Baseball's back, dude. Less than 48 hours. You and I will be in Toronto watching the kickoff, watching Berrios toe the rubber against the Texas Rangers. Oh, man, I'm super excited. I was just saying before the show, I haven't been within 2 weeks of opening day, let alone be in there opening night at the Rogers Center. Oh, man, it's I can't wait to walk through those doors and just eye up the field, watch the guys doing warm up, watch them take BP, watch them take ground balls. Baseball is back, baby. And I couldn't be happier.
No, you and I both. You can tell we're both very excited for what this season brings. We know our fans are very excited to what this season can bring. So I say on today's episode, let's just dive in. We're going to do our 2022 season preview today for the Toronto Blue Jays. In our last episode we did some bold takes for the season, including some spicy takes about this offense and what Matt Chapman can do. So please go back and check that one out if you want to see how high we think these Blue Jays can fly. It's a good episode to do that. But today we're going to get into the real X factors of this team, the guys who are really going to make or break this team. If this Blue Jays team is amazing, this is what it's going to look like. If this team struggles, this is what this team is going to look like. So it should be fun. We're going to have a good conversation. Let's dive right in. Riley, you ready?
I'm ready to go, Jesse. Right, what do you got for me?
So at first, I think we got to look at this rotation, right? And here is as things stand for this Blue Jays rotation as of now. Number one, Jose Berrios, as you mentioned there, is going to be our first starter. We have Kevin Gausman going to start game 2. Hyun-Jin Ryu, game 3, Alek Manoah, game 5, and Yusei Kikuchi will start Manoah, game 4, Kikuchi, game 5. With other guys, Nate Pearson, Ross Stripling, Bowden Francis, Anthony Kay, Thomas Hatch, they'll probably get starts throughout the season. So we're going to talk about each of these guys here. We're going to go into a little bit about what our expectations are for these players and how things can go really good and really bad. So, Riley, take it away with Jose Berrios. What do you think he's going to put up this year?
Jose Berrios, man, you dial it back to episode 5 with us.
Yeah.
And you had Gausman being opening day starter. I didn't say anything that episode. I knew my guy Berrios would be the opening day starter. We gave up a lot to acquire this guy, and the sky's the ceiling for this guy. He could put up grossly good numbers all season long. He's not an overly streaky guy. He just has to develop his tools a little bit more. And I can't think of a better guy to start our 2022 season off than Jose Berrios.
I mean, it makes sense, right? He came over from the trade deadline last year from Minnesota, and he spent 2 months in Toronto, loved it, signed a 7-year deal. So it makes sense that the Blue Jays are giving it to Jose Berrios to start opening day. He's coming off the best season of his career, and you mentioned that he's not a streaky guy. He's very consistent. His ERA has been between 3.5 and 4 every year in his career. So I think that's what our expectations should be for Jose Berrios this year. I think it's very hard for him to see an ERA spike, or even if he runs into BABIP luck. I think this is the range he's going to be. And he's coming off a career best walk rate, strikeout rate, and ground ball rate. So the 3 things a pitcher can control, Jose Berrios just had the best of his career. And he's still 27 years old. He's going to be here for a long time. Berrios is our guy, man. He's going to provide consistency on top of this rotation.
Bold takes. I have him for 20 wins. We'll dial it back. Realistically, you can't control ERA. He's very fortunate to have those sort of numbers. Great ground ball rate, and he's not going to strike out 300 guys a year, right. But he certainly is around a strikeout an inning and will limit base runners. And that's so important, right? We want a guy with a low whip. I like whip a lot more than I like ERA. I feel like most people feel that way. Walks and hits. I hate walks. I hate when pitchers give up walks. That's a freebie, man. That's a freebie. At least let him earn it. And Berrios is a battler, man. He will have great numbers this year. I don't feel like there's a spike for a lot. It's going to be Mr. Consistency for Berrios. And like I said, if he develops his tools a little bit more and gets on a real, I don't even want to use the word streak. We'll say a hot month. Yeah. He could really bring those numbers down, man.
Yeah, and I want to say this with the caveat. We are not predicting injuries for anybody. We are predicting that they stay healthy, right? Obviously, if someone gets hurt, that could dramatically change the whole season. We'll talk about it then. But if Jose Berrios is healthy, I'm with you, man. This is a great thing to expect. And I don't think he's going to get down below like in the 2 ERA range. I think at best he's probably low threes, but that's all you need with the offense this has. And yeah, we can get there.
A pitcher with a sub-3 ERA in the American League East is near impossible, man. This is an offensive. There's hitters ballparks. 4 to the 5 ballparks in the American League East are hitters ballparks. There's great position players that can hit and hit for power. You know, just like I said, just limit your walks. If you get the strikeout, that's great. If his ground ball rate is improved, that's also key, because our infield is exceptional, beyond exceptional.
Much better than in years past. Yes,
certainly. Yeah.
So let's move on to the next guy. This is the big pitching free agent that the Blue Jays have signed. We before the lockout, we signed Kevin Gausman to a 5-year deal, and Kevin Gausman is one of these X factors here. We don't really know what to expect from Kevin Gausman. In 2020, in the COVID shortened season, he was really good. And in the first half last year with the Giants, he looked like the best pitcher in baseball. He had a 1.73 ERA, which is amazing. So, but then he got into the second half and Gausman kind of struggled a little bit. His ERA was 4.41. So what type of pitcher are we getting here in Kevin Gausman? He really relies on his fastball and his splitter, right? So you'd like to see him work that slider or that changeup a little more. And I don't know, is a 2-pitch pitcher going to be crushed in the AL East, or is he going to just maximize his fastball and his splitter and he's going to be the unhittable guy that we had in the first half for San Francisco last year? So I don't know. What are your thoughts on Kevin Gausman here, Riley?
Well, I certainly like getting a pitcher from the National League West because he's new. He's the new kid in town. Not a lot of guys have seen him. Even if you are just hot with 2 pitches, you're going to get away for the first 2 months of the year pretty squeaky clean. And then you kind of really got to hone in and carry that, you know, and confidence is everything. I feel like Gausman is he should be a confident guy if he isn't, because he put up amazing numbers last year against some pretty tough competition, which would have been the Dodgers, obviously, and the Padres in that division, who hit the cover off the ball as well.
And even had the pitching Coors Field too, right? Which is never easy.
Oh, no, not a chance, man. Gausman is one of the biggest, I would say, not a make or break thing for Kevin Gausman on our staff. But if he pitches, you know, even close to what he did last year, I think that's going to really help us in the win column, and his wins above replacement will be superior to what the actual number represents. What he means to Toronto right now is he just has to give up less runs than our offense puts up. Right. And our offense is going to put up a lot. And I feel like he's got that sneaky factor. Not a lot of guys have had at-bats against him. And I think that's a one-up for us. I really do.
Yeah, he's a very different pitcher than when he was with Baltimore. And, you know, Kevin Gausman was giving up stuff there. He's a different guy now. He's completely changed his pitch mix. So he's not the same guy. And I don't know, like, what do you think a successful season for Kevin Gausman is? Like, if he has a high 3s ERA and, you know, maybe he's not striking out as many guys, like, would you call that a success for his first year in his 5-year deal?
I just kind of made up numbers in my head. I wouldn't even be upset with a 4.10 ERA with a whip of like 1.35 even, because I know he can get away with. I feel like he could get away with that. It's if he goes back to, and you nailed it, man, the Baltimore Kevin Gausman.
Right.
I think that we've locked in the guy that we saw last year. I truly believe that with Kevin Gausman. I think that's what we got. That's what we got there.
Right. He's going to be one of the interesting guys to watch here early in the season too. I still think if he puts an ERA over 4 in his first year, we're going to be disappointed. That means he's got some stinkers in there. I think the Jays are kind of relying on Kevin Gausman to really lengthen this rotation. And if he is on, which we saw in the first half of last year, he can be on, that just makes this Blue Jays team that much tougher. And if we're going to win 100 games this year, Kevin Gausman is going to have to be on. So he'll be an interesting guy to watch.
Yeah, I don't know if I've even seen him pitch before, right? You know, I can't say I went in too many games against the Orioles, and I certainly haven't gone to any National League West games in the last 3 years.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going to go to a game and watch him pitch because he's got such good pitches. His splitter, really excited to see that for sure. And it's not like he's got a fastball that's getting pounded 460 feet every time. Like he's a smart guy, and he knows how to use his pitches. He knows how to go about his craft.
All right, let's move on to the next guy in the rotation here in Hyun-Jin Ryu. So he is now into year 3 of a 4-year deal that we signed him for. And for the late 2010s and in 2020, Hyun-Jin Ryu was one of the best pitchers in baseball. But last year, for the first time in his career, we really saw him struggle a bit. Now, we've mentioned before in our Matt Chapman episode that Hyun-Jin Ryu put more ground balls to third base than any other pitcher in baseball. So Matt Chapman turning those into outs should do nothing but help him. But even in his disappointing season last year, too, he had a 3.56 ERA in the first half compared to over 5.5 in the second half. And he did get hit really hard when they did make contact on him. So Hyun-Jin Ryu, again, we talk about Gausman being an X factor. This guy's one of our X factors too. Are we going to get that Hyun-Jin Ryu that had a 3.5 ERA with a better defense? Or is he going to be a guy that he's kind of lost it? And when a command pitcher loses it, he gets hit really hard. What do you think about Ryu here?
I mean, I think you got to have a lot of faith in Ryu coming into this year, because I have a lot of faith in the defense behind him. Yeah. I think being a pitch to contact pitcher, I think being that type of pitcher is one of the hardest things to do in baseball, because you're not relying on just you and your catcher. It's not just the battery. You're now incorporating 7 other players behind you to make outs. And I feel like the acquisition at third base we had is great. I feel like our outfield is just above average enough. I feel like we can. I feel like if Ryu is good, that he could be really good, especially with his contact.
Yeah, we'll see. It's not like he can, if he throws 99 and he misses his spot right down the middle, batters are still going to be tough to hit it, right? If he misses his location with his 91 mile per hour fastball, it can get hit really hard. So again, if Hyun-Jin Ryu is good and he returns to his late 2010 form, then this rotation is going to be awesome. The Blue Jays are going to get close and will probably win the division here. But if not, if Hyun-Jin Ryu struggles and he gets smashed and he gets lit up, Jays could be in a dogfight this year. And I don't know, we'll see. He's going to be one of those guys to watch. Let's hope he gets off to a good start against Texas here.
Yep. We are counting on him. He's an elder statesman on our team. And like I said, man, it's like he's got the players behind him that his craft will work on this team.
Mm-hmm. One guy, though, I know we're both really excited about is Alek Manoah. So he came up last year. He's a sophomore kid, a former first-round pick who shot through the system. And as a rookie, I was looking at his game logs. He only really had 3 bad starts. He had one start against Baltimore where he gave up 4 home runs. He had one against Washington where I don't think he made it past the 4th inning, and one against Miami. Other than that, those 3 starts, this guy was amazing. And I know spring training stats don't mean anything, but if you want to look into those, Alek Manoah has an ERA under 1 so far this spring and more than a strikeout an inning. So if you want to get excited about a guy who could be taking a step forward and taken to a larger role, Alek Manoah could be that guy.
I'm a pretty superstitious guy when it comes to ball. I was never a pitcher. I'm sure that pitchers are very superstitious about what they do. Mm-hmm. Of course, I bet you the sophomore slump's on his mind, but I honestly just think he goes about the way he did his rookie season and he will be just fine. If the strikeout numbers go up for him, that's huge. A little bit more command of his pitches would be very helpful. His velocity of movements there. He's a wicked pitcher. He's going to be a wicked arm for years to come. Like you said, we're both really excited to see him. And Manoah's a guy, and I truly believe it. Like he could be a complete game kind of pitcher.
Right. A guy just gets on rolls early, starts through his thing and keeps that momentum going. I think Manoah was our pick that if one Blue Jays pitcher is going to throw a no-hitter this year, it's going to be Alek Manoah, right?
I'm with you on that one, Jesse. I got a lot riding on this kid, and he just seems to be a big game player. He's got that clutch factor to him. A couple poor starts, but every pitcher is going to have poor starts, man.
Like, could you see I know we didn't cover this in our Bold Takes episode, but could you see a scenario where Alek Manoah finishes top 5 in Cy Young awards, or even at the end of the season, Alek Manoah is our confirmed ace moving forward?
I honestly, man, nothing is against the odds for this kid because he's a first round pick. He came up and was just strong, man. Like, we haven't seen him pitch a full season in Major League Baseball. And if he just came off his rookie season like he did and did what he did in the spring and combines that and goes into the regular season, like he's going to be dynamite. He's going to have a couple rocky starts. That's just every pitcher. Just make that known. That's every pitcher. But he's like, in my head, he's going to go seven innings more often than not. And I mean, like 1 run, 0 runs, 3 runs, 3 runs, 1 run. Like he might have the best numbers at the end of this year. I would not be surprised to see him in that ace spot in a short window of time. I won't even put a number on it, but at one point, I think he'll be that guy.
So moving on to the next guy here, Yusei Kikuchi. We've talked a lot about Kikuchi. You know, I really like Kikuchi. We'll just give you a quick summary of his thing. He was an all-star in 2021, had an amazing first half. He really struggled in the second half. If you want to find more about Kikuchi, we've done episodes in the past, but not our opinions, I don't think really have changed. The individual pitches look great, and there you can see there is talent here. And if the Blue Jays coaching staff can put it all together and work Yusei Kikuchi out, he could be amazing. He could be way better than any other team's 5th starters, but there is doubt because he was very bad last year. In fact, he got removed from Seattle's rotation at some point because he was so bad. So we talk about guys who could either be really good or really bad. Yusei Kikuchi is one of these guys. And if he just can't figure it out or he just can't analyze all his pitches, then Jays could be in trouble here. This could be a hole and we could be losing games from Kikuchi. So I know we're optimistic about the kid and the way we can see things go, but I don't know. He'll be a guy that's going to be very interesting to watch here.
I love how our rotation is set up. I love having 3 right-handed pitchers and 2 left-handed pitchers.
Yep.
That makes it very difficult for the opposing manager to put together lineups, and we'll say a 4-game series, because you're getting such a variety. And I mean, you could make the comp between Ryu and Kikuchi as far as, you know, things like ground ball rate, but Kikuchi's he's developing as more of a power arm.
Yeah,
which is awesome. He's a hybrid type of guy, and if he could combine a high strikeout rate or a close to, you know, getting guys off speed, forcing weak contact and using that as his kind of bring up for me what he's more known for, which would be the ground ball guy. He's going to induce a lot of weak ground ball outs, and that's going to make things real easy for us.
Yeah, we'll talk about the other guys. That should be our rotation there, though. Those 5 guys, they're going to be the guys set in stone to start this season. So they're going to be very interesting to watch. I'm sure we're going to talk a lot about these guys as the season goes on. In terms of the depth guys, I don't have much to say about Anthony Kay, Thomas Hatch. Just don't forget Nate Pearson. I know he's out with mono right now, and so he's going to start the season in AAA, but we know the stuff is there, and he was throwing a curveball this spring. So just keep an eye on Nate Pearson and see maybe if one of these guys, say Kikuchi, does struggle, maybe we throw Nate Pearson in there and maybe he can just tap into his stuff and he can be really good. So keep an eye on that.
Yeah, there's gonna be times where we see different arms, and I agree with you. You're starting to get me on the lighter side of what Pearson can do. And you know what? I hope he can do it, man. I don't know if he has mono. I don't know. He's you know, he obviously wasn't kissing Montoyo's butt, you know, to get on the opening day roster, but he will listen. He will be there. He will be there. I'm a firm believer in that. He will be there.
This really does seem like a make or break season for Nate Pearson. Like if he struggles again, can't stay healthy, he could be a guy that the Jays just move on from. But if he clicks, look out.
Well, you mentioned Anthony Kay, and for me, like I was high on him for a little bit, and now that's gone, you know, far to the wayside. It's sad to say, but guys either make it or break it, you know, and if you can't have string together quality starts, if you're 50% on your starts, you know, if you go 6 innings one time and then 2 and then 3 and then 4 and then 6 and then 1 and then 2, you know, you're not going to make it as a big league starter. That's just case in point. Especially
on this team who we're projecting great things for, and this team should do really well. That just won't cut it. We'll see how he performs in Buffalo and we'll go. But Riley, let's move on to the real bread and butter of this team, which is going to be our lineup. Like the Blue Jays have had on our good teams in the early 90s or even in the mid 2010s when we made the playoffs, the lineup is what carried this team. And the lineup as a whole should be good again. Like you can go through this lineup 1 through 9. And I think at worst case scenario, you're going to get league average positioning out of every single spot. And I don't know if there's another lineup in baseball that you can say that you're going to get league average performance at every level, plus MVP numbers from guys like Vlad. And we saw Bo Bichette and Teoscar Hernandez be all-stars last year. So the lineup is definitely the strength of this team. And I think it's going to be really hard to see that falter this year.
As far as I'm concerned, we have a few guys who will receive MVP votes this year. Mm-hmm. I think that's just evident. We have guys who play exceptional D. We got guys who can get on base, and we got tons of guys who can put the ball into the seats. Mm-hmm. And like our middle of the lineup is going to be extremely dangerous. It was extremely dangerous last year.
Yeah.
But our core guys are young. They're only going to improve. Mm-hmm. And you see the exit velo on these guys. We have the strongest and most powerful leadoff hitter in baseball right now.
Agree.
We have a guy who had anytime you get the most hits in a season, I mean, that's something to write home about.
That's what Bo Bichette did last year.
Exactly. And then not to mention our big boy Vladdy, like who knows what he will actually do this year.
Remember, he said last year you saw the trailer. This year is going to be a movie. So I hope you got your popcorn ready, because I don't think there's a chance, even if he just repeats the numbers he had last year. That's amazing. You know, I really don't see how Vlad can have a bad year. Like, I think Vlad's going to be amazing, and kid's going to fly, and it's just how high, right? Let's see how we can go.
I think the only chance he loses points on his player value, his wins above replacements would be just really poor defense, which I'm telling you will be made up by the amount of times he's going to drive runners in and cross home plate himself.
Did you see Montoya was talking about Vlad Jr. and they were talking about his athleticism and all that stuff? And he said, if he gave him the green light, Vlad Jr. could be a 30-30 guy.
Oh, I watched him steal a base. He looked all right. Like he looks much more healthy. He looks much more athletic than he did in prior years, man. Like, and he's strong. He's a top 3 hitter in all of MLB, if not a top 2 hitter. Like, that's just my take on him, man.
He's going to be good. He's going to be fun to watch this year. I can't wait. Let's talk about some of these other guys in the lineup. We can kind of run through these guys fairly quickly here. Yeah. George Springer, I think the main thing with him, I don't think it's the question about his game. He's just got to stay on the field, right? Only played 78 games last year. And when he played, he was awesome. His defense was great in center field. And if the Jays are going to be a playoff team too, we talk about defense up the middle. Like that 2015 team had Kevin Pillar, it had Ryan Goins, Troy Tulowitzki. Like it had great defense up the middle. Russell Martin behind the plate as well. So the Jays are going to need George Springer to be a stable place here. And plus, if he just plays a full season, I know it's not completely going to cover the loss of Marcus Semien, but it's going to be really good. And that's an instant threat right out of the gate that not many other teams in baseball have.
We have a very unique center fielder, Jesse. I know you know this, man. And it's shortstop, center field, catcher are all your big defensive positions. And even if George doesn't put up electric numbers on his defense, we know what he can do offensively. Yeah, the foot speed might not be there like in prior years. I mean, he never was the fastest guy.
Right, but he's still fine.
Certainly, man. He's going to be the leadoff hitter for this team, and he's going to have a lot of hard hit balls. Mm-hmm. He just puts bat to ball, man. He just barrels the ball up.
Yeah, he is on the wrong side of 30 now, but judging from the games he played last year, I think it's going to be tough to see a decline from George Springer. He's going to be one of the best hitters on this team, one of the best hitters in the American League, and can't wait to see it. Like I said, offense right out of the gate.
Yeah. Dangerous, man.
Yeah, absolutely. You touched on Bo Bichette, how he led the American League in hits last year, and he had an all-star campaign. So the thing with Bo, though, is I think there's still room for him to get even better. Like the counting stats were there last year. He had the runs, he had the RBIs. We've mentioned he's led the league in hits, but I think we can see more improvements to his power game. Like when he first came up as a rookie in 2019, he was lashing doubles like crazy. He was really hammering that right center field gap, and Bo Bichette has that in his bag, and we didn't see him break it out all the time last year. So if Bo Bichette can maybe even start walking more and then really punishing those pitches in the zone, I don't think it's out of reach to see that Bo Bichette can be an even better hitter than he was last year.
But I'll touch quickly on his defense before. Yeah. I'd like to see his defense get better. but certainly I believe that his hitting will automatically get better. He's just by facing big league pitching, the more at-bats he gets, the more pitchers he faces, he's just going to be a better hitter. I have no doubt in my mind after last season's campaign that he will be a stats guy. He will be an accumulative guy for how many hits, RBIs, runs. Like, he's just going to look good on a baseball card. His numbers are going to look fantastic. The concern with Bo is his ability to take pitches. I question, his plate discipline a lot, and for me, shortstop is got to be a position where you gotta play defense. You really got to limit errors, because I mean, you're the shortstop for what this great team is. Bo Bichette has got a lot on his shoulders. I feel like he knows that. He's a showtime guy. He's cool and flashy, and I like that about him. I like it. Shortstop's the coolest position on the team. Bo might be the coolest Blue Jay we got.
He's a fun guy to root for.
Eye black, everything. Oh, he's a fun guy to root for sure. Son of a major league player. Like, he's just going to have a good career. But for this season, talking about just this season, he's just going to accumulate a lot of things. What Jays fan would like to see is he's going to be hitting at the top of the lineup. Yeah. I would like to see a more selective approach at the plate. But other than that, like Jesse, he's going to hit doubles. He's going to hit triples. He's going to hit 25 to 30 home runs for sure. Like, I think so. Like, he's gonna hit 30 home runs consistently at one point in his career, and it could very well start now.
Right. I think a worst case scenario for Bo Bichette is that, he does swing in a lot of pitches outside of the zone, and the walk rate's not very high to fall back on. But the bat to ball skills that Bo Bichette has is probably the best in baseball. So I don't think it's going to be really hard to see a season where Bo Bichette struggles. He should be an all-star again. He should be up there. He's going to be, like I said, a dangerous threat on top of this lineup. Want to move on and talk about Teoscar Hernandez here next. Again, it's amazing. We're on to now the fourth hitter in this lineup, and we keep saying, oh, this guy's really good. This guy's amazing. Well, Teoscar Hernandez he's coming off back-to-back Silver Slugger awards. He's still not even 30 years old. He cut his strikeout rate dramatically in 2021. And if he keeps making strides like this, like, Teoscar Hernandez could be one of the best players in this lineup. And so it's crazy the depth that this team has here as we keep getting through these guys.
You want to talk about a guy who really changed his game around? It is Hernandez. His batting average, his on base, his slugging, everything went up. It seems like he's more comfortable at the plate, and it seems like he's just hitting baseballs farther. I remember when he first came to Toronto, and to see an 0 for 4 and 0 for 5 game out of Hernandez was not ever out of the question. You kind of anticipate things like that sometimes with these pure power hitters, but Hernandez doesn't seem to be like that pure power hitter maybe I had him labeled as. He's a guy who is great at driving the ball the other way, for one thing.
Yep.
He's an all fields hitter. He's got quick bat speed. He's another guy that hits the ball over 110 miles an hour and hits the ball hard. Like, we got so many of these guys, and like Hernandez in the middle of that lineup is going to put up. I had him hitting 40 home runs. And if he doesn't, a worst case, I feel like he still hits 30 plus home runs.
Yeah, I'd probably put the over under at 30 there and see. But even though you're getting 30 home runs, you're getting a good average. And unless we see that strikeout rate climb, which I have no reason to think it's going to, Teoscar Hernandez is going to put up an all-star level season again. And yeah, just another amazing bat in this Blue Jays lineup.
Yeah, he's done a great job. Back in the day, like, we had these most improved player awards. Like, over the last 3 seasons, he has improved so much. Like, he's really come together as a big league outfielder, and that's so good, man, because you want power out of your corner outfield, man. And Teoscar might be one of the most underrated corner outfielders in all of baseball.
Which is amazing after back-to-back Silver Slugger awards still being underrated.
I feel like for a lot of teams, he hits 3 spot on. I'm just saying, like, if he was to play on an average team, he could be the 3 hitter.
You want to talk another guy that deepens this lineup here, and I know we've already talked a lot about him, but your guy, Matt Chapman. We're talking about Teoscar Hernandez putting up Silver Slugger awards. We've heard in the Bold Takes episode what we think about Matt Chapman and the season he can have. So, I mean, I'll let you take it away. This is your guy, Riley. Tell us what you think.
Well, let me clear my throat. This might be long-winded. It might not be. This is a guy who's a platinum glove winner, gold glove winner. He has put up close to MVP numbers in the past. He's a defense first guy, but people don't realize the power that he possesses. And he looks so good this spring. He's a former first round pick. He's a California born ball player that played in the Oakland Coliseum that isn't the easiest to hit in. I feel like the change of scenery, playing on a champion, I'll say it right now, a championship team is really going to bring out the best in Matt Chapman's game. Again, I have him winning a Silver Slugger at third. I have him win the Gold Glove. I have him receiving MVP votes. Like, I don't think people realize how valuable this guy is, just in baseball. Player value. He's coming off a hard injury, and I feel like this is his year. It's his age 28 season, I want to say, 27, right. 28. He's right in his prime, and he's going to take off with this Jays team. Matt Chapman is like, I don't want to say he should be everyone's favorite, but you guys are going to love him. When you guys are going to love Matt Chapman. I loved him in Oakland, and I'm going to love him even more in Toronto. He's obviously my favorite player. I can't wait to watch him. He's going to make defensive highlights. He's going to make the routine plays. And with the pitching staff that induces those ground balls, he's going to have a lot of putouts, and he's not going to have a lot of errors. He's just a flashy guy too.
And we've already talked about his exit velocities this spring are higher than they've been either the last 2 years in Oakland, which makes you think he's past his hip flexor injury. But Chapman's going to be very good. It's just the only way you can see a downside for Matt Chapman is he did strike out a 35% clip last year. Now, we think that's just because of the hip flexor. We both are pretty sure that that's healthy now and that should improve. But just keep an eye on that. If that kind of stays stable or where things go, it could be maybe a league average or a slightly better than league average season from Matt Chapman. But I think we're both in the same party. We don't think that's going to happen. We think Matt Chapman's going to be pretty good and not too bad for your 5, 6, or 7 hitter in your lineup, Don't you think?
Oh my God. I was kind of thinking while you were going off, like where you actually slot him in your lineup. And there's a lot of places you could put him. But you want to talk about not even your 3, 4 guys, the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for this ball club will more often than not turn the lineup over by themselves to get to guys like Springer and Bo and bring it back. I feel like this team is going to bat around. Well, maybe not bat around all the time, but it's a team. It's the kind of team that the pitcher is going to lose his mind over because he's going to have to throw a lot of pitches because he's facing a lot of batters because he's either giving up walks, he's giving up extra base hits. There's not going to be too many times that there's a 1, 2, 3 inning consecutively against the Blue Jays. And I feel like Matt Chapman, in that, 6 spot or 7 spot or 5 spot sometime it could be. I feel like that's where he's slotted to go, right in that. And I feel like with, guys like Teoscar, guys like Lourdes around him, like that's just such a deadly middle of the order. And Matt Chapman, yes, the strikeouts are a concern. But I'm a firm believer in this is the way baseball is progressing. We don't have guys hitting 375 anymore. Guys are hitting long balls. They're striking out. They're taking their walks. And Matt Chapman fits the criteria for what we needed. Got the defense, and we're going to get a hefty swinging right-handed bat in the middle of that lineup.
Let's move through these next guys fairly quickly here. I do want to make some points about Lourdes Gurriel Jr. Now, there's a lot of buzz this spring about Gurriel. He's always been a streaky hitter. So we've seen when he's hot, like he's been able to put this team on his shoulders and just single-handedly win games for this Blue Jays team. So that's great to have, obviously. But then when he's been cold, he's been very cold. He's been almost like, how can you put this guy in the lineup cold? So a little tough to watch sometimes, but you take that upside which you can get. And he made some slight adjustments at the plate last year, which I don't know if you know this, but he actually tied the Blue Jays record for RBIs in a month last September with 30 RBIs in a month. And it was all going great until Randall Grichuk stepped on his hand. And then after that happened, he got injured for a few days, came back to the lineup, and then went an 0 for 16 stretch. And for what it's worth about Gurriel, he's looked amazing this spring. Like, I'm going to read you a slash line here. He's hitting 478, 571, 696 with more walks than strikeouts. So I know spring stats mean nothing, but if this is the guy who Lourdes Gurriel just is now, if he can stay this consistent and be this guy, this is another guy in this Blue Jays lineup that could be just amazing.
I mean, even in spring training and its sample size of 1,400, I'm just guessing. I'm trying to do the math in my head, but anything around 1,400 OPS is just like to the moon. Like, you just don't hear things like that, like any kind of stretch. So yeah, we would like to see Lourdes be more consistent. I love him as a left fielder. I think that he's a huge defensive plus. He's got an amazing throwing arm.
Well, the arm's the big skill.
Oh, for sure, man. Like, we might have one of the best, if not the best arm on this team. And I feel like he could be another sneaky power guy. I'm not talking 40 home runs or anything like that, but you've said it, man. Like, he could carry this team. Another guy who can hit the ball and hit the ball hard.
He'll probably hit you 25 home runs, and I don't think it would surprise anyone in this lineup if he's hitting in the 6th spot with all the great hitters in front of him. He could turn in 100 RBI season. It's very possible.
Oh, someone this year is gonna. I feel like multiple guys, like anyone has the opportunity to put up huge numbers with this team, because we know that this train's gonna keep rolling. Yep. And if you slack a little bit, there's so many people who will pick you up. I'm not saying you gotta be lackadaisical out there and take a day off, play hard. But if you go 0 for 4, if Lourdes goes 0 for 4, he could be picked up. And the time that he does in his last 20 at-bats is on base 14 times. Well, guess what? I bet you the rest of the team is just as hot.
So what you're saying is we can trust in the Lourdes.
I trust in Lourdes for sure.
Perfect. Alejandro Kirk is supposed to be our projected DH right now, or a guy who's going to be a backup catcher for this team. We've talked about Kirk a lot as well. He's probably right behind Bo Bichette in the ability to put bat on ball. And I know I've mentioned this on one of our episodes months ago that Fangraphs has Alejandro Kirk projected to lead all catchers in OPS this year, which is more than what Salvador Perez when he hit 48 home runs in Kansas City this year. So not only are we buying the upside on Alejandro Kirk, these projection systems are buying the upside on Alejandro Kirk. And yeah, he didn't look that great last year, but his BABIP was only 230. So you got to assume some positive regression is coming there. I think it's going to be a good year for Alejandro Kirk too. And yeah, like, he could be bad, but I don't think he's going to be that bad. Like, his baseline skills are there, that he's going to be at least a league average hitter, no matter what everything else does.
Yeah, and he's going to be sitting around, the bottom part of our order for the most part, 7, 8, area. Probably see him 5, 6, occasionally, depending on how hot he is. But yeah, a guy who can put bat on ball at the bottom of this lineup. He's another guy who's going to drive in runs. He's a fun guy. He's someone that I really hope that the Jays keep for, as a catcher. I'm hoping that they develop him as a catcher. Having him as a DH just seems like the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Because we need his bat. He's an offense first guy, obviously. And he just fits so well with this team structure.
And deepens the lineup, right?
Oh my God, like deep, man. Like, this is the Mariana Trench of lineups with how deep they are. Like, it's crazy. Right. And you're talking about Kirk being at the bottom of your lineup. You're still going.
Yeah, let's try to get through these other guys quickly here. We talked about Biggio, and Espinal is probably going to be the platoon at second base, with Biggio the left-handed hitter, with Espinal the right-handed hitter. Espinal's already got 2 home runs this string. He's jacked up, and Biggio's one of these polarizing players. We've talked about him in the past, but if he can get anywhere close to his rookie season, you're laughing. That's even more there. And worse come to worse, one of these guys just takes the job, they run away with it, and then you don't even have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I feel like this is Cavan's make or break year for sure, but Espinal just looks so good. Mm-hmm. It's hard to discredit Santiago Espinal for the season he had last year in limited plate appearances. He made a great catch last year, so the defensive capabilities are there when he was playing third base. If he's our second baseman, I feel like that's an easier position to field than third base. Mm-hmm. A right-handed versus a left-handed bat. Yeah, they're both going to get both going to get plate appearances. And for Cavan, it's just going to be, if he can get back to, taking pitches and getting on base and turning the lineup over. I feel like both these guys can turn the lineup over. Great bottom of the order guys. And if your second baseman is hitting 8th or 9th in your lineup, you're probably a normal MLB team.
Yeah. Danny Jansen's going to be in our 9-hole. We've talked about him a lot. He was a former top prospect who hasn't really hit a ton in the majors, but his second half of last year started to show upside. He had a 558 OPS, which was dog shit, frankly, in the first half, but he had a OPS over 1,000 in the second half with a lot of power. And he's got a 6.2% ground ball rate this spring, where league average is something along like 35%. So he's selling out for power at the bottom of the lineup. And let's not sleep on a Danny Jansen rebound season here.
I don't hate it. I feel like he's a great defensive catcher. And he has the tools now, with, making small tweaks and adjustments, that now he really could hit the 20 home runs that we were talking about. And if that's the bottom of your lineup, then going once, going twice, sold. We just talked about 9 guys. Like, you got to be kidding me. So much power throughout that whole lineup.
Yeah, this is definitely the strength of the Blue Jays team. 1 through 9 in this order is going to be terrifying for a pitcher to face. And I feel so bad for the Texas Rangers who are coming in here and trying to face these guys and get these guys out, because good luck. Martin Perez, are you kidding me? We're going to tee off on this guy as we go here. So
I don't feel bad for him at all, man. It's well overdue and well deserved that we get a team like this in Toronto right now. And the time is now to win, and they're going to win a lot of ball games this year, Jesse.
Yeah. Before we touch on the bullpen really quick, just some other guys to watch for. We talked about Raimel Tapia, who's going to be a speed guy, a guy who could play adequate defense, who probably will get more playing time than we think. And Gabriel Moreno, who is still one of the Blue Jays' top prospects, who some scouts say he's the most athletic catching prospect since JT Realmuto. He's probably going to get at bats on this team at some point this midseason. So another big threat that could be coming up at some point. And Orelvis Martinez, who we saw in spring training, is going to be sent to Double-A. And once you're in Double-A, you're a stone's throw from playing in the big leagues. So keep an eye out for that name. Is just another name to watch. Anything to add on those guys, Riley, quick before we move to the bullpen?
Yeah, just we know about our prospects. We've talked a lot about that. Tapia, though, I feel like is a guy who will get a lot of at-bats. Not a guy who barrels the ball a lot. Not a guy who gets a lot of exit speed. But your slap hitter can pull the ball a little bit. And it's good. We haven't talked about a lot of speed on this team. I feel like he will fit well if he puts up league average defense. That's perfect. Perfect fourth outfielder and what we need as a replacement level guy. Left-handed
bat too, a guy who can hit and run. Montoyo can do creative things with Raimel Tapia. So we needed a left-handed guy, and that's the guy the Blue Jays settled on. So no complaints here.
Nope, perfect.
As we get into the bullpen, we don't have to spend too much time here. I'm going to run you through the guys that made the opening day roster here. And Jay's got some lefties. Jay's have some righties. We have different looks. We have side armors. Bullpen performance is so hard to predict because one bad outing inflates your stats, right? And it's going to be interesting to see how Charlie Montoyo uses these guys. But here are the guys who have made the opening day roster. Jordan Romano is going to be our closer. Montoyo's talked about Jimmy Garcia, who he said is probably going to be the backup guy for saves if Jordan Romano can't get any. So he'll probably pick up a few as we go. Tim Meza was our setup guy last year from the left-hand side. He's on this team. Adam Simber, Trevor Richards, who guys we got at the trade deadline last year, who really helped settle this Blue Jays bullpen down, are going to be back there. And let's not forget Julian Merriweather, Ryan Barucki, David Phelps, Taylor Saucedo, Ross Stripling, and Trent Thornton, who are probably our long guys right there. So because we can carry 28 guys, the Jays are going with 11 relievers. So it's going to be very interesting early in this year to see how Charlie Montoyo runs with these guys.
Yeah, we won't spend too much time talking about the relievers. Again, I feel like a guy who is an X factor in that bullpen is Adam Simber.
Okay.
I feel like I've watched him get lit up before, and I've watched him have really strong outings. He's a guy who, if you want to talk about a guy like we talked about Manoah, who could have a no-hitter type guy. We talk about Simber. I feel like Simber could be a guy who throws a 9-pitch inning.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. He doesn't get too much strikeouts, but his sinker and curveball, they move so much, and he's so deceptive that he can get these ground balls and all that stuff there.
Yep.
My X factor in this bullpen is Julian Merryweather. He's got the great stuff. We've seen it. He's just got to stay healthy. And if Julian Merryweather can put it all together, he could be another high leverage bullpen use for this guy. So let's keep an eye on these guys. I'm sure we'll talk about them a lot as the season goes on. And yeah, it'll be fun to watch. We wanted to touch on the Reese McGuire trade really quick here. Yeah. Jays traded a backup catcher, Reese McGuire, for another backup catcher in Zach Collins. And I don't have a lot to say about these guys, Riley. It's a good piece of general managing. I think that the Blue Jays just knew that when roster shrunk, they'd probably have to cut Reese McGuire. And this way they saved their catcher depth by getting Zach Collins, a guy who has options.
And I believe Collins is younger in age is very important for depth position. You're just buying time, where he plays, how he plays. I don't know much about the American League Central backup positions. Like Zach Collins, I know he's a young guy. He's a left-handed bat. Maybe he's a guy we see. I don't see him, having 100 at-bats this year, perhaps. But I'm sure he'll get time. Just another guy to watch for, a lefty bat. We don't have a lot of lefty bats. Maybe he's a tool we use. We just haven't discovered, what he can do yet for us.
Yeah, he's a former top prospect. He has hit in the minors. In 2019, he had a 912 or 917 OPS, but he hasn't hit in the majors. He's a terrible defensive catcher, but he's a guy who's going to get a little bit of run. He'll make the odd spot start. Maybe he'll run into a home run or two, and that's really all you need out of your third string catcher on this team, right?
I'm fine with the move, and is Collins? I still put Moreno over Collins. I don't want to rush Gabby up to
and that's what it is.
Big leagues, but he's a good option to have. I like that he's a lefty bat. Yeah.
So this is the main guys that we're going to be following for this Blue Jays season, and we've talked about like best case, worst case scenario. This offense is going to be good, right? And it's really going to come down to how these guys in the rotation play. If Kikuchi figures it out and puts all his stuff together, if Hyun-Jin Ryu can get his command back and he's not getting really hit hard, if Kevin Gausman is more of the first half Kevin Gausman than the second half Kevin Gausman, this Blue Jays team is going to be really, really good. And yes, I know you've talked about in the past that the AL East is going to be a dogfight. It's going to be really hard. There's a lot of good teams in the AL East, but the Blue Jays should, at least on paper, be the better team. And that's going to make our divisional games we play against the AL East that much more important this year.
They're always important, man. I always circle the Red Sox and always circle the Yankees. They're hard games for us to play, man. They're always been there. It's always tough to play the Yankees. It's always tough to play the Red Sox. And we need those wins in order to, come through and win this division. Like I know we can. We both know we can do that. But it comes down to, we really got to be sharp against our own division. In Tampa, you talk about players that are X factors. You got to always watch out for the Rays, man. I don't know how they do it, but we just have to win games, and we certainly can't lose to Baltimore. We'll start with that.
Yes, because Tampa won the division last year strictly because they went 18-1 against Baltimore last year. So if the Jays got to take advantage of those games when they happen. Let's move on from that, though. If you have any comments about the X factors that the Blue Jays are going to make this season, please leave them down a comment below. And we'll respond to you and we'll be engaging on that. Let's answer some fan questions that they had. Let's try to run through these pretty quickly here. This is a question that we had given to us. And Riley, if you off the top of your head, do you think you can go around Major League Baseball and name all 6 division winners?
This year, predicting the division winners for this year?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just start a real easy one, and we'll start with the Blue Jays and the American League East. Yep. The American League Central, and I'll be honest with you, this is a division that I probably know the least amount about the Central divisions. I know a lot about the East and the West for both American and National League. Right. But I really think the White Sox have a strong team. The Guardians, you can almost count out for the most part.
They have a lot of question marks on that team.
They do. And I mean, I don't think Jose Ramirez, I don't think he's coming to Toronto.
Just signed an extension today with Cleveland.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I will shut up about what I was going to say next. Maybe they, I still don't think they win the division though. For me, I'll take the White Sox. I feel like the White Sox, I think the Twins, though, have a really good team. They got a lot of good players. I think it's going to be a really close division. I don't see a lot of 90-game winners in that. I feel like that's just an always close division where you get 87, 88, and 89 wins,
All right, AL
respectively
West.
for that.
Who do you got there?
Oh, so I feel like Seattle has put together a strong ball club. I think it's going to be the Mariners.
Okay. And how about the National League?
National League, so I'm just going to go back, keep it West. We're going to go with the LA Dodgers. I feel like that's just the easy choice, man. I got to skip the NL Central for a second so I can think about it. I know it's not the Pirates. The New York Mets in the East, though, man. Okay. I mean, holy cow, the Mets. I don't know. It won't be the Reds and it won't be the Pirates. I can tell you that. And I don't think it'll be the Cubs. I think this is going to be one of the weaker divisions in baseball.
So to leave you with the Brewers or Cardinals, who are you going with?
Well, we got the pitching of the Brewers, and no offense, I love that Pujols is back, and I still think that Milwaukee takes that just solely based on pitching. Woodruff and Corbin Burns, like you talk about a good tandem, that's there.
So I'll run through mine quickly. Again, I'm with you. I think the Blue Jays win here. I'm with you on the White Sox and the Central. I'm buying in on the Angels on the AL West. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. I like a few of their pitchers they have in their staff. I think Anthony Rendon can bounce back. So I'm actually going to put a wager here on the Angels to win the AL West. And let's not forget Houston, though. Justin Verlander's back. They're always going to be really good. But I think it's the Angels division there. Dodgers in the NL West. I'm with you on that. In the Central, I'm torn because I just don't think the Brewers are going to hit that well. I'm not buying a bounce back from Yelich, but that pitching staff is so good. And the Cardinals, even their pitching staff doesn't impress me, and their offense is aging. So I think we could get a surprise team there, but I think I'm still going to pick the Brewers to win that division as well. And in the NL East, I can't pick the Mets, man. The Mets are cursed. They're going to figure out something that's going to go terribly wrong. So I'm going to go off book a little. I'm going to say the Philadelphia Phillies win that division. I think they get a bounce back from Aaron Nola. I really like Zach Wheeler, Bryce Harper, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber in that lineup. They should mash. Their defense is garbage, yes, but I don't know. Going a little off book there and going to go with the Phillies. Riley, do you have a surprise team in MLB, a team that we're all kind of counting out that you think could be better than expected this year?
It's a really good question. We didn't rehearse these, by the way. That's why I seem kind of perplexed on thinking. I did say the Mets, and I still believe the Mets, but wow, watch out for the Phillies, man. Harper, two-time MVP, was last year's MVP. Castellano had such good numbers last year, and I think that I mean Nola is good too, but I think Wheeler is a great pitcher for the Phillies. But yeah, I think the Phillies, man.
Bryce Harper does lead the Grapefruit League in home runs this year too, so he's not going anywhere. My surprise team is, I think, the Cubs. Now, bear with me there. I like the Seiya Suzuki signing. I like Marcus Stroman to ease that rotation. They have some young guys who quietly performed last year in Patrick Wisdom and Frank Schwindel. So the NL Central is probably not going to be a good division. I think we could see the Cubs actually start coming a little early, and they could be my surprise team in MLB this season. Riley, I got two more questions for you, and we'll hammer these out quickly. You ready?
Gotcha.
Just give me your batting lineup, 1 through 9 for the Toronto Blue Jays.
George Springer, followed by Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I got Teoscar Hernandez. I got Matt Chapman. I got Lourdes Gurriel. How many is that? That's 6.
Yeah, 3 more.
I got 3 more. So we got DH Kirk.
Yep.
And I got Cavan Biggio, and I got Jansen.
Okay, I'm pretty similar there. I think that's the lineup that Montoyo is going to run out. But if I had my dream one, I'd probably go Springer 1. I want Vladdy 2 because the lineups only matter in the first inning because that's the only inning you can guarantee your hitters hit in a certain spot. And the higher up in the order, the more at-bats they get over the course of the season. So I want Vlad Jr. getting as many at-bats as freaking possible. So I'd put him 2. I'd probably put Teoscar Hernandez 3. I'd put Bo Bichette 4, strictly because he has the bat-to-ball skills. And odds are in the first inning, one of Teoscar, Springer, or Vladdy are getting on base. So that increases Bo's chance to put bat on ball to get an RBI. I would probably go Matt Chapman 5th. I just love the power. Getting a 3-run home run in that first inning would be huge. Lourdes Gurriel would be 6, and then I'm with you at the bottom. I'd probably go Kirk, whoever it is between Biggio or Espinal, and then Danny Jansen in the 9 hole.
Yeah.
And so we're going to shift over here to we have a series to preview, Riley. The Blue Jays are at home at Rogers Center. They're welcoming in the Texas Rangers. Both teams are 0-0. Both teams are 0 games back in their division. And before I get into the previewing the pitchers and who's going to start or not, Riley, do you have a choice on which Blue Jay is going to be the first to hit a home run this year?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be Teoscar Hernandez.
First one. All right. I'm going to think it's going to be George Springer. It's going to be a 0-0 game in the third inning. George Springer's going to hit a 2-run shot, and I think the party's going to be in flight from there. So that's my prediction on that.
Okay.
This series here in game 1, it's going to be Jon Gray against Jose Barrios. Game 2 looks like it's going to be Martin Perez against Kevin Gausman. Game 3, it looks like it's going to be Dane Dunning against Hyun-Jin Ryu. So Riley, quickly here, what are you excited to see this series? What should we look for?
I'm excited to have Semien back.
Yeah.
In Toronto, for me, that's a warm return. You can't blame a guy for signing anywhere else. I hate, unless there's real sour things, I'm not gonna boo a guy who just finished third last year at MVP voting for us. No matter, that's just unacceptable for me. No sour feelings. You got Seager coming from the Dodgers. I like both the Seager boys, Kyle and Corey. I think that's a fun infield to have for them. Also, Martin Perez and Dunning, we're gonna light those guys up. we're gonna absolutely. We're gonna launch baseballs off the pair of them. I do like Jon Gray. I know he pitched in Coors Field, and I did follow a lot of Jon Gray's career early on. And he had a tough time, but he managed well. I feel like game 1 is no cakewalk for us, but I think game 2 and 3. I think that we could explode in those 2 games, and I hope we do. And I anticipate in one of those games that we really do.
On paper, that's what it looks like, what we should do. But baseball's stupid, so I'm going to say we'll probably tee off on Jon Gray. Martin Perez is probably going to look stellar. We'll throw 7 shutout innings. Jays are still going to win, though. And, who knows? I'm really excited to see how Charlie Montoyo uses these guys out of the bullpen. Who does he bring in during high leverage? Who does he bring in when we have a big lead or if we're down big? I also really want to see Kevin Gausman, see what this new splitter looks like. And those are the things I'm going to be watching for most during this first series of the season. All right. Anything else to add, Riley?
No. Texas is a team that is also in a tough division as well. And I feel like they have a lot of X factors too. And I feel like they've kind of done a small sample of what the Blue Jays did. But I feel like we just have better pitching than they do. They have good core guys, but I feel like they're outmatched coming to the Rogers Center. I think the boys for the Blue Jays know what this is about, and I'm predicting big things these first 3 games.
Yeah, I think on paper the Blue Jays are the better team. The Rangers pitching staff isn't going to be that good this year, and I don't know. I think we're taking 2 out of 3. What do you think, Riley?
I think 2 out of 3 is good. I don't think any go to extra innings, and I don't think they're 1-run games. I don't think they're 1-run games, and I think maybe one of our pitchers gets dinged for a high ERA. But I think we're scoring an average of 5-6 runs for sure in this first series. I really do. I think we're going to take off right out the gate.
Either way, we're here. We made it. That'll do it for our season preview episode. If you have anything else you want to add, please leave a comment. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll be back Sunday night to discuss this opening series against the Texas Rangers, and we're going to have a guest on that episode too, so that'll be fun. And we're going to preview the upcoming series against the Yankees. Like I said, be sure to like and subscribe. We're going to be doing this all season long. We're passionate Blue Jays fans, just like you are. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at BudsJays. We'll be doing some fun stuff on there as well. If you're looking for hockey content, check out our friends over at Leafs and Lads as they gear up for the playoff push over there. And I'm sure they'll have fun things to say about the blown 5-1 lead to Florida last night. So check that one out. And thanks for tuning in, guys. And let's go Blue Jays.
Let's go Blue Jays. I will see you at the Rogers Center, Mr. Burrell.
Let's go. Can't wait.
Let's go.